Hi, I'm Kelly Maurer. I'm a solution architect and I enjoy programming. I especially like taking old code and refurbishing it and making it usable again. This series of videos is intended to help you get started on fixing up your old code. So let's get started. That last video was a lot to take in, so I'm going to break it down into a set of smaller videos and go a little bit more in depth on each of those steps. Specifically, this first video is going to be how I decided to break out that little helper class to delegate to the drawing call. Let's go to the code. So last time we made a lot of changes, and I'm going to back out those changes now so that we can go back through the refactoring step by step, and it'll be clear what steps we're taking and why for each step. So I'm just going to roll back. And now we're ready to start. Okay, so let's go back to our standard draw class. And so the point of the refactoring was to remove duplication. And the thing that was standing in the way of that was the fact that these two methods to draw a circle use different methods on the off screen to actually do the drawing. So this one outlines the shape. This one fills in the shape. So that's where we need to introduce an interface or a scene that we can then add some concrete subclasses to that interface to vary the behavior based on what we want to do. So let's do that first. So one thing you notice is both of these functions, circle and fill circle, are creating a shape as they call the draw. So in the argument list, they actually do the new on the shape. I'm going to extract that to a variable so that it's not being done at the time of calling that function. It instead will be done prior to that. So I'm going to call that shape. It's going to be of type shape. If you're following along, it may have wanted to make it an ellipse 2D dot double, but go ahead and use that shape interface. All right, so now that we have that, this line becomes simpler. We don't need any of these other variables. If we were to extract this, all we need is the shape and this off screen. All right, so now we have this call. It's all ready to go. It doesn't have any dependencies other than the shape that we want to draw and the off screen. So next I need to introduce a way to vary that behavior so that in this circle method we get our outline drawing, and in this fill circle method we get our fill drawing. So now there's a couple different routes we could take with this refactoring. One is I could extract this to a method or extract it to a delegate using IntelliJ's automated refactorings. But I think for this case, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to be a little more hands-on. And the reason I'm doing that is because once you've refactored those classes, they still require a lot of manual editing to get into the shape that you want them. And so I'd rather do all that refactoring right here where I can see the code and see how it's going to be used. So let's start with that. So what I really want, as I've said, is I just want a class that I can call here that will do my filling for me. So let's create just a simple class. I will call it shape filler, and that's pretty good. Now I can start to shape that class the way I want by typing in basically how I want it to behave. So let's just create a new shape filler here. And I want to pass it that off screen because it's going to need the off screen to do the drawing. And I will introduce a variable for that. And that's fine. Shape filler is fine. Now you see it's red here because it doesn't have that constructor. So I'm going to add that constructor. Oh, it wants to make it static. So let's make shape filler static. So that class is now static. And now it's complaining about off screen. It doesn't have a constructor that it could pass that to. So let's create that constructor. And it'll take a graphics 2D. And we'll just call that screen in case someday we want to pass in an on-screen graphics 2D. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and create a field for that parameter called off-screen. And so there's our class. Doesn't do anything yet, and we're not even really using it other than to construct it, but we have a good start. So now let's make this shape filler actually do what it's supposed to do, which is fill a shape. And the way I can do that is just by telling it to do something. I'm going to tell it to draw because I think that's going to end up being what I want to call that whole interface once I get it created. And I'm going to give it the shape to draw. So obviously I don't have that method yet in the shape filler class. So let's go ahead and create that method. And there it is. Now, what I want to do with that, I want it to exactly mimic the behavior that was going on already in the fill circle function, which was to call offscreen.fill. So I'm going to copy that line of code and paste it into my draw. And now you can see I've got basically the fill should be happening twice. So I can remove it from here. One issue here though is that I'm no longer coupled to the off-screen's fill function, but I am coupled to the shape filler. And as you recall, we want to basically remove all this duplication between the circle and the fill circle. But having this here was going to hinder that. So I'm going to move that line of code where I create that. I'm going to move that up to the beginning. Okay, so I've replaced that behavior with my new class. Then the next steps, I think, will be to introduce an interface for that. I'm going to stop there for this video, and the next video we'll finish up that refactoring so you can see how we can apply that to the rest of the functions. If you'd like more information, please go to tkmaurer.com. I'll put a link down below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.